three university students are discussing whether they should choose early morning classes for the next semester. They share different opinions about the benefits and challenges of starting classes early and how class timings can affect productivity and academic performance.
I'm actually thinking about taking 3 8 a.m. classes next semester. I know that's quite early, but I really like getting my classes finished in the morning. Once my lectures are over, I have the rest of the day available for studying, working, or taking part in extracurricular activities. I also feel more organized when I start my day early. The campus is usually quiet in the morning, so I can walk to class without dealing with large crowds. For me, having an early routine helps me stay disciplined and use my time more effectively.
I'm completely with you on that. I took 2 morning classes this semester, and I noticed that I was much more focused during those hours. There are usually fewer distractions, and I can concentrate better on difficult topics. I also feel that morning classes are sometimes more interactive because there are fewer students in the classroom, so professors have more time to answer individual questions. Another advantage is that finishing classes early leaves the afternoon free for part-time work, appointments, or club activities.
I understand why you both like early classes, but they definitely don't work for me. I registered for an 8 a.m. lecture last semester, and I struggled to stay awake during the first few weeks. Even when I went to bed early, I couldn't concentrate properly that early in the morning. Eventually, it affected my grades because I wasn't absorbing the material. I learn much better in the afternoon when I'm fully awake and mentally prepared.
That's interesting because I have exactly the opposite experience. For me, studying difficult subjects in the morning works really well because my mind feels fresh. Once I complete my classes early, I can spend the afternoon reviewing notes or working on assignments without worrying about another lecture. I also think having a fixed morning routine makes it easier to develop consistent study habits rather than delaying everything until later in the day.
Exactly. There are also practical benefits. Students who finish their classes early can use the afternoon for internships, part-time jobs, appointments, or group projects. It gives them more flexibility to manage different responsibilities. However, I agree that students shouldn't choose early classes simply because they seem productive. They should consider their own sleeping patterns and whether they can consistently attend and concentrate during those hours.
Yes, I think that's the main point. Everyone has a different body clock and learning style. I've decided to choose classes starting around 10 a.m. instead. That gives me enough time to wake up properly, have breakfast, review the material, and arrive on campus without feeling exhausted. I believe students should choose schedules that match their natural routines. An early class may be highly productive for one person but completely ineffective for another, so understanding your own habits is more important than following a fixed idea about the best study time.
Three university students are discussing whether they should study abroad for a semester through an exchange program. They share different opinions about cultural experiences, academic progress, expenses, and the long-term benefits of international education.
Have you guys thought about applying for the exchange program next year? I'm seriously considering spending a semester in Seoul. I think it would be an amazing opportunity to experience a completely different education system and culture while still earning credits toward my degree. I've always wanted to live in another country, even if it's only for a few months.
I'm actually not planning to apply because I'm worried about how it might affect my degree. My older sister participated in an exchange program, and some of her credits didn't transfer correctly when she came back. She eventually had to take additional courses to graduate on time. I'm also concerned about the cost of traveling and living abroad.
I've already submitted my application, and I'm really excited about it. The cultural experience is probably the biggest reason I'm interested. Imagine learning Spanish while actually living in Madrid and communicating with local people every day. That's completely different from studying a language in a classroom.
That's exactly what attracts me to the program. The most valuable experiences might actually happen outside the classroom, like trying local food, exploring unfamiliar places, or making friends from completely different backgrounds.
I can definitely see the appeal now. I was also worried about the financial side, but perhaps that's not as big a problem as I thought. If scholarships and financial aid can still be used during an exchange semester, that would make the decision easier. Still, I worry about adjusting to a different academic system halfway through my degree.
I understand that, but stepping outside your comfort zone can be valuable. International experience can also strengthen your resume because employers often appreciate students who have adapted to different cultures and environments.
Exactly. I think the academic and personal benefits make the challenges worthwhile. Of course, we should carefully check which courses will transfer and understand the total costs before making a decision. But if everything is properly planned, studying abroad could become one of the most memorable parts of university life. I'm going to meet with the exchange advisor tomorrow to discuss the available universities, credit transfer process, and financial support. That should help me make a final decision.
Three university students are discussing whether they should join student clubs next semester. They share different opinions about the social benefits, skill development, time commitment, and how extracurricular activities can affect their academic life.
Have you guys decided which clubs you want to join next semester? I'm thinking about joining the debate team and maybe the photography society. I really enjoyed being part of the hiking club last year because I met people from different courses and made some great friends. I think university isn't only about academics. Clubs give us a chance to explore our interests, become more confident, and enjoy time with people outside our regular classes. They can also make campus life feel much more interesting and connected.
I understand why you like them, but I've decided not to join any clubs this year. I was part of the dance club last semester, and honestly, it took up much more time than I expected. We had rehearsals several times a week, sometimes until quite late, and eventually my grades started suffering. This year, I'd rather focus on my studies and perhaps find a part-time job. At least that would give me more control over my schedule and could also provide some useful work experience.
I'm definitely planning to join at least one club. For me, clubs are not only about meeting people, they're also a great way to develop practical skills. I was involved in the robotics club last year, and I learned a lot about teamwork, project management, and solving problems under pressure. We even participated in a national competition, which gave me a real sense of achievement. Experiences like that can be difficult to get through regular academic courses.
Exactly. I think it really depends on the individual student. For me, the social experience and personal growth are worth the time because joining clubs has made me much more confident and outgoing. But I also understand why someone with a heavy academic schedule might choose to stay away.
And I'm comfortable with my decision to focus on other priorities this semester. Maybe later, when my workload is lighter, I'll consider joining one again. I think the important thing is to choose activities that genuinely fit your goals rather than joining clubs simply because everyone else is doing it.
I completely agree. Clubs can offer much more than something to add to a resume, but they aren't suitable for everyone. If students have enough time and find an organization that matches their interests, they should definitely give it a try. It could help them discover new passions, develop practical skills, and build relationships that last well beyond university.
Three university students are sitting under a large tree on campus, discussing the advantages and disadvantages of open book examinations. They share their experiences with different exam formats and consider whether students should be tested more on memory or practical application.
Honestly, I don't really like open book exams. People assume they are easier because we can use our notes, but that's not always true. During my history midterm last week, I spent so much time searching through my notes for specific dates and information that I almost ran out of time. I actually think I would perform better in a traditional closed book exam because I can focus on answering questions instead of constantly searching through different pages.
I understand your concern, but I actually prefer open book exams because they feel more realistic. In real workplaces, we usually have access to information, so what really matters is knowing how to find the right information and use it effectively.
I see your point, but open book exams can actually be more difficult than they appear. Professors know that we have access to our materials, so sometimes they create much more complicated questions. During my chemistry exam, I had to compare information from several chapters just to answer one question.
Exactly. There's also a false sense of confidence with open book tests. Before my history exam, I thought I was completely prepared because I had organized all my notes. But once the exam started, I couldn't quickly find the information I needed, and I started panicking.
That's true, but I think those problems can be solved with better preparation. I organize my notes using headings, colors, and page numbers so I can find information quickly during an exam. Open book tests also reduce the pressure of memorizing every single fact the night before. Instead, students can focus on understanding concepts and learning how to apply them.
I agree that those skills are useful, but not everyone learns in the same way. Personally, I remember information much better when I know I have to recall it during an exam. Last semester, I took an open book psychology test and received my lowest score because I assumed I could simply look everything up.
Maybe that's why a combination of both formats would work better. The university could include a closed book section to test basic concepts and important knowledge, followed by an open book section that focuses on analysis and practical application.
I would still prefer a fully open book system because it reflects the way we solve problems in modern workplaces, but I understand why some students prefer traditional exams.
Yes, I could support a hybrid system. Traditional exams still have value because remembering important concepts without immediately searching for them shows genuine understanding. At the same time, open book questions can test whether students know how to apply that knowledge in practical situations. Combining both methods would probably create a fairer and more complete assessment system.
Three university students are discussing whether physical education courses should be compulsory. They share different opinions about the benefits of exercise, academic workload, personal abilities, and whether universities should provide more flexible options for students.
I honestly don't understand why we're required to take 2 semesters of PE. Last term, I chose badminton, and it was honestly embarrassing because I'm not very athletic. The coach kept correcting me in front of everyone, and I felt uncomfortable throughout the class. I also think these courses take away valuable time from our major subjects. Between getting changed, traveling to the sports facilities, and attending the actual class, I lose several hours every week that I could otherwise spend studying or working on assignments.
I understand why you feel that way, but I actually think compulsory PE has some real benefits. Before university, I hardly exercised at all because I was always busy with schoolwork. Since PE became part of my schedule, I discovered that I really enjoy swimming. It helps me relax after spending hours studying and gives me a break from sitting in front of a computer. I also notice that I concentrate better afterward and sleep more comfortably at night. So, for me, PE has improved both my physical health and my academic routine.
That's a good experience, but I don't think the same system works for everyone. Some students have different physical abilities or health conditions, so applying the same fitness standards to everyone can be unfair. I personally struggle with asthma, and running tests are particularly difficult for me. Last semester, I lost marks because I couldn't complete the required distance. If the purpose of PE is to encourage healthy habits, students shouldn't be judged mainly on athletic performance.
I really like that idea. A flexible system would make PE much more inclusive. Students could choose activities they actually enjoy instead of being forced into traditional competitive sports. That would probably encourage more people to participate and make the experience less stressful.
Exactly. I don't think we need to remove physical education completely. We just need to make it more flexible and focused on health rather than competition. If students can choose from different activities and are assessed mainly on participation and consistency, I think more people would benefit from the program.
I agree. A broader range of activities and a less competitive assessment system would address most of my concerns. Physical activity is important, but universities should recognize that students have different abilities and preferences. A flexible PE program could encourage healthy lifestyles without creating unnecessary academic or personal pressure.